Kenneth Armitage. B. Leeds, 1916. D. London, 2002. A student of both Leeds and the Slade, Kenneth Armitage initially carved his sculptures, although after World War II he destroyed all his pre-war carvings and began to use plaster, later cast into bronze. He created groups of figures involved in such everyday activities as going for a walk or sitting on a bench, the bodies appearing as flat sheets with projecting limbs. In 1958, Armitage was one of the 3 British representatives at the Venice Biennale exhibition. The critic Herbert Read coined the term geometry of fear to describe his and others' work. The human figure continued to form the basis of his work until the late 1970s when, in his Richmond Oaks series, he turned to non-figurative subjects. Although most of his works are in bronze, he also worked in wood, plaster, paper, and fiberglass. Lifeline. 1934–37 Studies at Leeds College of Art, 1937–39 Studies at the Slade School of Fine Art, London, 1946 Head of Sculpture at Bath Academy of Art, 1958 Wins Best Young Sculptor at Venice Biennale, 1970 Works as Visiting Professor at Boston University. 1972–73 Arts Council holds a touring exhibition of his work. Figure lying on its side, number 5, the prone figure appears to be struggling to get up, her thin arms and legs in motion as they try to lever the body off the ground. 1957 Bronze, 38 by 83 by 22 centimeters, Arts Council Collection, Hayward Gallery. London, UK. Friends walking. Armitage achieves the feeling of movement and great vitality in these walking figures, despite their monolithic shared body and spindly legs. 1952 Bronze, 55.9 by 62 centimeters, Private Collection. Asger Jorn. B. Vidrum, 1914. D. Aarhus, 1973. Asger Jorn first visited Paris in 1936, frequenting Fernand Léger's studio. In 1937, he created a monumental fresco for Le Corbusier's building Le Pavillon des Temps Nouveaux, taking a child's drawing as a starting point. In Denmark from 1938, he returned to France in 1947 and became a founder member of the Cobra Group. See Right. In his work, his concern was to restore culture to its authentic origins and to promote the sense of sensual expression. Letter to My Son, painted during a period in which Jorn firmly established an international reputation. This is one of his most ambitious and impressive pieces. 1956–57, Oil on Canvas, 130 by 196 centimeters, Tate, London, UK. Pierre Soulages. B. Rodez, 1919. Often known as the Painter of Black. Because of his interest in that color, Soulages held his first exhibition in Paris in 1947. He has also worked as a set designer and from 1987 to 1994 produced 104 stained glass windows for the Abbey Church in Conques, France. In 2001, Soulages became the first living artist to exhibit at the Hermitage Museum in St. Petersburg. Painter 1956. A special quality of Soulages' paintings is the way he makes black appear luminous. 1956, Oil on Canvas, 195 by 130 centimeters, Pompidou Center, Paris, France. Karel Appel. B. Amsterdam, 1921, D. Zurich, 2006. After studying in Amsterdam, Karel Appel moved to Paris, where, in 1948, he became one of the founder members of the Cobra Group. See Right. At this stage he was making sculptures assembled from discarded objects, but he then turned to reliefs inspired by children's drawings. They were made from pieces of wood sawn at random and violently colored. His later paintings became expressionistic and dynamic. Pierre Appel's expressionist portraits feature crudely drawn figures painted in vivid colors with a loose handling of drips and trickles, as if they had been painted by a child. 1952, Oil on Canvas, Private Collection. Ein Context. Cobra Group founded in 1948, the Cobra movement took its name from the initials of the members' home cities. Copenhagen, Co, Brussels, BR, and Amsterdam, A. The group held 2 large exhibitions and was primarily concerned with semi-abstract paintings of brilliant color and violent brushwork inspired by primitive art and folk art. Hanging Day members of Cobra bring their work to the first international exhibition of experimental artists, held at the Stedelijk Museum, Amsterdam, in November 1949. Ossip Zadkine. B. Vitebsk, Belarus, 1890. D. Paris, 1967. Born in Russia of Jewish and Scottish extraction, Ossip Zadkine went to art school in London and then settled in Paris in 1909. He first sculpted elongated figures with simplified features in a lyrical and expressive style, but subsequently developed an original style with a more angular approach that was strongly influenced by Cubism and the primitive arts. Zadkine was drawn to the expressiveness of Rodin, and so combined Cubist geometric forms with dramatic emotionalism. Faced with the likelihood of war in Europe, Zadkine decided to leave Paris in 1937 for New York, where he taught, before returning to France in 1945. His mature work uses convex and concave shapes, lines, and parallel planes to achieve a sense of rhythm and unity. Odalisque, the Cubist influence on Zadkine's work is evident in the multifaceted shapes and imagery of this piece. 1936, Polychrome Wood, Musée Riatu, Arles, France. The destroyed city, the ruins of the bombed city of Rotterdam, which Zadkine visited in 1946, made a deep impression on him and inspired this monument, in which the arms of the figure, with a hole torn in its body, are stretched out in horror. 1953 Bronze, height 6.5 m, Rotterdam, Netherlands. Pierre Alechinsky. B. Brussels, 1927. Pierre Alechinsky studied illustration techniques, printing, and photography in his native Brussels and, in 1945, discovered the work of Jean Dubuffet. A founder member of the Cobra Group, see above, he participated in both their exhibitions and then moved to Paris in 1951 to study engraving. He held his first exhibition in 1954 and started to become interested in Oriental calligraphy, which he studied in Japan. In their use of bright colors, playful images, strong brushwork, and distorted forms, his paintings are related to French abstract painting, Tachism, abstract expressionism, and lyrical abstraction styles. Parfois c'est l'inverse. This painting of people running, sitting, bathing, and throwing is set above a series of small illustrations that are arranged like a crazy strip cartoon. 1970. Acrylic on paper, 18 by 30 centimeters, Musée d'Art Moderne, Brussels, Belgium.